Hi there. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm glad that you've joined me this morning, afternoon, depending on the time zone that you're in, for Together in Ministry. We're going to be taking time today with members of my family to talk to you about what it's like for us to serve together. So I'll be joined by my dad, but I'll also be joined by my brother Anthony, Priscilla, Jonathan, and his wife Kanika to talk about and to give you a little behind the scenes of what it's like for us to work and serve together as we serve the Lord. So here's how this is going to work. We're going to share a great presentation with you where we got together and shared some behind the scenes stuff about what it looks like for us to work together. And then I'm going to be joined by my dad to do a live Q&A. So what I want you to do is sit back, relax, and make sure you submit your questions as you watch, because we're going to take those questions and answer those questions a little bit later. We're going to talk about what it's like for us to work together and how that works out when we have differences of opinion, how we share projects, what we like to do together, how we prioritize our time as a family, and everybody wants to know who's in charge. So I'm glad that you're here, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, and I hope that you get busy in the comments, enjoying this presentation with other people who are here too. But don't forget to ask your questions. I'll be joined with my dad live to ask your questions, pose them to him, and then to have him, the ever wise one, answer. Maybe I'll have an answer or two too. All right, y'all, here we go.
Well, I'm excited to be able to serve with my oldest son, third child, Anthony Jr., my namesake.
Yes, I was going to say it
He
for
always
you.
wants to remind me he's my namesake.
Because I'm the only person in the world with your...
I know, but you kind of use that to your advantage.
I sure do.
So,
We have had the privilege, I think, of being invited by our parents.
Yes.
Like the whole time we were growing up to participate with the ministry.
A lot of those times, the staff behind the book table was the 4 kids. Jonathan
don't
was
have stuff
mostly
to
under the table.
Several ways we serve together in ministry, but one of the ways is young adults ministry. We're still kind of holding on to that young adults title, kind of holding on.
well, I'm excited to be able to serve with my oldest son, third child, Anthony Jr.,
Your
my
namesake.
namesake.
Yes, I was going to say it
He
for
always
you.
wants to remind me he's my namesake.
Because I'm the only person in the world with your...
I know, but you kind of use that to your advantage.
I sure do.
So God has gifted him in music and in events, creating events. So he's been used in both of them in various parts of our ministry. Musically, he leads worship at least once a month at our church in Dallas. He does special music with the Urban Alternative Events. He does that. That's another. And then because if he has a organization that puts together events, he puts together some of our events here at the church for our conferences and some of the events that we do through the Urban Alternative. So those are the 2 ways that we work together in ministry, as well as he's a great idea person. So he's always giving ideas for how we can do things differently.
Sometimes too many ideas.
Yeah, sometimes too many ideas, sometimes unrequested ideas, but still plenty of ideas, many of which are utilized in one form or another. So we get great benefit out of his ideas, his organizational skills, combined with his music that not only we benefit from, but a lot of groups using across the country. So
Yeah, so my desire has been, like, basically the thought is, how do we do ministry together? I don't think I'd want to do ministry in the capacity that I do it in if it was not with family. Occupational ministry is great, but when family got involved with it, that's when it became my passion. Mm-hmm. My passion connects, and sometimes I just feel myself go to a different level of passion when I'm standing next to you. I don't even have to be doing anything, really. I mean, I can be on the other side of the cameras, and I just get excited that I get to be a part of what you and Mommy built at this level. So
we're glad to have you and glad to benefit from what God has given you.
And I'm glad to benefit from your name.
Oh,
so
wow.
thanks for letting me be
Except
Tony
when you're
Average.
buying stuff or upgrading on flights, using my name.
These are old
using
stories.
my miles.
I don't need his miles anymore. I have my own miles. That was when I was 17.
Yeah, I haven't forgotten.
We have
had the privilege, I think, of being invited by our parents,
Yes.
like the whole time we were growing up, to participate with the ministry.
right.
Even to answer the question, how do we serve together in ministry, feels like this formal way of, because we just show
were
up
together.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
show up when we're asked to show up. But we have been asked to show up at a lot of things, like the First Ladies Conference,
Yeah.
our women's conference at our church, Desperate for Jesus. We have both had opportunity to teach at our church for the women's ministry. And then we've shown up to sell tapes at book tables,
Yeah.
to be hospitable to guests that
Yeah.
we have. But I really feel like it's more of a spirit of being there than it
Yeah.
is like, here are all the specific things that we've
Absolutely. I
done.
agree. And I think that, like you said, can't skip over the fact that I think our parents cultivated that.
Yeah.
That as mom and dad were in ministry, in local church ministry, but also as he would travel, we were with him. So a lot of those times, the staff behind the book table was the 4 kids. Jonathan
know
was
how to stuff
mostly under the table.
Yes.
But we were all just sort of helping. So I think it cultivated this desire that we all had to serve with each other.
We serve together in ministry, and one of the ways that several ways, several ways we serve together in ministry. But one of the ways is young adults ministry. We're still kind of holding on to that young adults title, kind of holding on. And so we serve at our local church, at Tony Evans Church, OCBF, in the young adults ministry called Generate Nation. And generate just has to do with, generating that energy for Christ. A lot of young adults are walking away from the church, and they're not experiencing what we experienced growing up, just the church environment, the accountability, the assembling together, the worshiping together, getting God's word. And you've been very instrumental in helping with our Bible studies. I mean, it's a lot of things.
Yeah. Another thing that we do in ministry is our vlogs.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we actually have several vlogs out that kind of show daily life in our household. It is quite chaotic. We have 5 young children.
That's right.
But we feel like it's helpful for other people to kind of see what that looks like, to see that everything's not perfect. Everything doesn't look like it does on social media. There are
That's
days
right.
when everything's going wild.
Post-friendly stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, we
That's
show
right.
real stuff.
But I feel even for some people that may not have grown up with a traditional family, they may need some examples of things to look at. And so we try to make sure that what we're doing is practical so that other people, if they want to incorporate that in their families, they can.
Yeah, so that's been great. And then we're also working on a couple of book projects together. So even if it has my name on it, it's her fingerprint. So anything you see in the future is definitely a family project. So we keep working together for the Lord.
What's the most rewarding project we've done together? I know what my answer is. What's your answer?
The most rewarding project that we've done together, because we've done so many different things, is probably the project that we're working on now with the family.
Oh, yeah.
We
We haven't
Divine
told
Disruption.
anybody yet. Yeah.
Yeah. We're working on a whole book called Divine Disruption, how we can find hope when life lets you down, with the loss of your mom, my wife, with the loss of so many family members in a short amount of time. There's been a major disruption in the natural order of things because the whole family's involved with that.
Yes,
But
for the very first time.
you are orchestrating it. You put together the concept, the project, and
I
and
named it
involves
even though
all
you
of-
think you named it.
Well, I did name it. You stole the name, which is your habit. You've been doing it so much that you forget how much you do it.
No, I named it and you just thought it was your idea.
No, that's
Anyway, I don't even think anybody knows about that. It's PS. Y'all are the first, but we haven't talked about that on a public platform. People don't know that's about to happen. So you heard it here first from the patriarch of the family. I was gonna say the most unique moment in ministry and the most rewarding moment in ministry was getting to produce and direct Kingdom Legacy Live.
Okay.
For me, an event we did a little bit over a year ago, and it was I'm sure the book will be that for me, but
Yeah.
right now, doing that in honor of my parents and their legacy, and the place that mommy was in her health journey, which she was strong that weekend. That's the bottom line. She was strong enough to do everything that weekend, and yeah, being able to do something like that.
That was special. That was really
Yeah.
really special because that was a time that the Bible
Yeah,
The study Bible and the Bible commentary came out, so all that was mixed into that weekend.
yeah, that was history, and to be trusted with that
It was
was
a great
huge.
event.
Yeah.
I think probably the most rewarding and gratifying event that we were able to participate in together as a family was Kingdom Legacy Live, because we got to see our parents sort of sit and be honored for a change. You know, there are many times where they are the ones that are planning and hosting and preaching and teaching and serving, but to watch them to be able to just receive and hear words of honor to them for the many, many seeds that they had sown in so many people's lives and ministries for decades, that was incredibly humbling to be able to do that for our parents, but it also just felt incredibly, it just felt like a blessing that we got to be able to help do that for our parents.
Absolutely. I think that in that event, I remember feeling the weight sounds negative. That's not what I mean, but the
Gravity.
enormity, the enormity of that event. That it was a gift, not just from us, but that we got to spearhead everybody giving this gift of thank you to our parents, and so beyond our individual thank you and our individual gratitude, that it was us gathering everybody else to do the same. And I agree. It was fun to watch them sit and receive.
Yeah.
It was really fun to watch
And
that.
I think it also helped to cover up, or to make up, I should say, for all the years we look back on and realize in our teenage years and early 20s
that I was asleep in church.
we were asleep in church and we were selfish and wanted to do, you know, what teenagers want to do and not do what teenagers don't want to do. That was us. And so you think about all those years where they struggled and strived and prayed and were hoping that
would turn out okay.
that our kids were going to turn out okay.
Yeah.
To be able to then in our 30s and 40s stand there and say thank you.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that was a huge blessing. So I'm glad we got to do that.
100%.
As a couple, I feel like our most rewarding project thus far has been establishing our young adult ministry at our church, Generate Nation. And the reason is because I feel like it's given a lot of people a place to go.
A place to go, that's right.
And we've heard from numerous people, I'm so glad y'all started doing this because I kind of felt like I didn't have my place, and now I feel like I can interact with other young adults who are like-minded and have the same goals in Christ that I do. So
Same walk of life, you know, and it was just important. We saw the importance of having a place that just feels like them and feels like us.
Yeah.
We're still there, still holding on. But that would be probably our most rewarding. One of the family projects that I think was, I just felt the most proud. My brother really kind of produced it, put it together, but he made sure, obviously, the whole family was a part of it. My mom was there sitting in the front row so she can experience it, and that was the Kingdom Legacy Live event for the Tony Evans Study Bible and Full Bible Commentary. Obviously, he's the first African American to write a full study Bible and full Bible commentary. And just the celebration that happened around that was just incredible. So I want to tell Anthony, great job, since I have a camera right here. But our whole family being a part of that moment, and then my mom being there to be a part of a pinnacle moment of her and my father's ministry career, if you will.
And I think one of my favorite parts was all the children, all of the grandchildren came out with roses to give to your mom.
Yeah, that was, it was just a touching time.
Yeah.
100% would be my number one moment.
When we work together as a family, Crystal is always in charge. Not because we necessarily have voted and decided that Crystal should be in charge, but because Crystal has the most, should I say, thoughts about a matter. So she's going to want to spearhead it. It's probably going to be even best for her to spearhead it because she's going to have researched the best way to start it, the best way to follow through on everything. She's going to have an outline. She's going to have it scheduled, and it's going to just be particular. So you normally end up sort of saying, I'm the funnel that will help us to keep ourselves in order here. Would you agree? Anthony's an engine, but you are a particular person, so you end up in a lot of ways leading.
So
It is what it is, except the position of leadership, firstborn.
well, no, I think that we do all have very special qualities, and I think one of the gifts of sharing in ministry as adults has been to honor each other's leadership
Yeah.
roles, because I will plan something until the cows come home. It will be in a spreadsheet. Emails, the documentations will be severe. However,
She's very smart.
I will also still be planning when we need to go. And you mentioned that Anthony's an engine. I
Yeah.
think that you are too.
That's true. Kind of a go person.
Yeah, she'll just be like, let's just get it done. Just get it done. Now I may say, now, are we in budget? She'll say, it'll all work out.
I mean, I'm mindful of budget.
No, you are. But I mean, I will get stuck there in the
Yeah.
planning part. So the
Yeah.
planning is necessary. So I think we actually work pretty good.
We
as
really
a
do,
team.
because we kind of just go, okay, what's the part that actually fits with what you do well and
Right.
feel comfortable doing? What's the part that works for you? And then we kind of just merge it all together.
Who's in charge in our family, in this dynamic, who's in charge?
It doesn't matter what the dynamic is.
Yeah. I can tell you a dynamic that I am in charge of.
Okay.
Just
what
and
is
it's a very small dynamic. And actually all of us as his children and grandchildren are in charge of the aesthetic side of things. In our family, I feel like that is our mom. That's what we all got something equally from you and from mommy. I got her eye for aesthetics and her eye for excellence and detail. It drives people crazy, but I notice everything, especially the way she would do stuff. So when it comes to the way you are, mommy would make sure that who you see on the other side of that camera was all put together by her. So I kind of carry that. So
True.
I don't think you even want to be in charge of that.
I would not want to be in charge. So let's put it this way. I'm in charge of the stuff I want to be in charge of.
Yeah.
The other stuff I defer, and they can be in charge of that.
Right. But we're only in charge of it because you
Yeah,
said
you're
so.
only in charge of what's deferred.
So Daddy says he's in charge. What do you think about that, Chrissy?
He is in charge.
He is in charge.
He is very
That
much
is
so in charge.
Very true.
It's true.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
All right, let's see. So when it comes to the broader Evans family, who is in charge? You're looking at him. It's me. Now, I don't have any of my siblings or my dad in here, so I'm able to do that. But really, we collaborate. No, my dad's in charge. Dr. Tony Evans is in charge, runs the show, can open things up or shut things down by snapping his fingers, and we come running in with quick feet. How can we serve? How can we help? Where are we going next? He's the visionary. He sets the pattern for our family. He always has, and we've always respected it. And as it relates to me and my siblings, we've always had our little one-up-your wars. And I normally win by virtue of being the baby. I'm the baby of the family. Babies win. We find our way through. And so that's kind of worked itself out that way. But we have fun. We have fun together. It's always been a fun thing to work together. And Tony Evans has always been in charge.
How do we work through differences emotionally?
You added that. She didn't
I
say
know.
emotional
No.
differences.
Oh. I'm saying how we do it
Oh,
emotionally.
really? I don't
Because
understand.
if there's a difference, you're going to get emotional about it.
Not every time.
Most of the time.
Yes, 98% of the time.
Hello.
I'm a very passionate person, and he's very stats and logic, which is great. But I feel like I bring a balance. I feel like I make my dad, I'm the one of the four kids that push him toward connecting emotionally to whatever the subject is. I will bring in how people feel, and he will look at me like that and just be like, what are we even talking about? So I feel like listening.
There's a balance.
Yes, mommy taught me a long time ago. Our mom taught us that this is who your dad is. He's not going to all of a sudden be highly emotional like you, Anthony. So you have to understand who he is, empathize with who he is, and then express in a not worked up way what you're feeling. And Daddy's actually he's an amazing listener. He will try to engage in all my emotion to get my point if I'm relaxed. So you're very understanding.
I try to be, and you're emotional. So we work through it back and forth, till we get where we need to go.
And a lot of times he sees my point, and I'll find out later that he saw it and took an idea or an emotion and went and implemented it. But I never knew he did it. That happens sometimes.
Yeah, duh.
Okay, so when it comes to differences of opinion, those can always be touchy subjects. But I feel like now that we've been married almost 15
Almost
years now,
15 years.
I feel like we have really grown in how we handle our differences in opinion. I feel like we do a good job of hearing each other out and knowing each person is trying to bring the best option to the table. But ultimately,
Yeah.
if we do disagree, then and we can't come to a good compromise, then a decision has to be made. So I let Jonathan make the decision.
Oh, yeah, but the key is though God has really blessed us because we don't really have many arguments or many overwhelming moments when
Yeah.
it comes to ministry. We realize, wait a minute, we're on the same team, and we're called by God to do what He wants us to do. And so really, it's just trying to figure out what He wants us to do and how He wants us to go about it. So we find ourselves more in a collaborative space than we do in a space of trying to win on the idea. And so I would encourage all the married couples out there to just recognize, you're being used by God, and so you just want to do that, and we want to do it with a clean heart. And so we handle it pretty well.
And I think you have to make room for flexibility. Like maybe you try something and it doesn't work.
That's
so you figure out another way to do it or maybe a different approach.
Yeah, and know that some things won't, some things haven't worked.
Yeah.
And they,
That's
how
part of the
we
learning.
learn and grow. Yeah, exactly. So it's just chilling. We're just chilling. You know what I mean? Just relax and enjoy the marriage and enjoy being together working for the Lord. One of the things that my dad told me I'll never forget is when my mom got sick and was starting to decline, he just looked at me and he just said, "This happened so fast." Getting to this point in our marriage, every couple gets to the point, you wish, a long way down the line, where you say, okay, we're coming to the end of just life, and he just looked at me and said, this just happened so fast. We were just where we are now with young children, and now we're here. So it was just an encouragement to me to just appreciate her every single day. Every opinion she has, every thought that she has, I appreciate it because I know it happens so fast. So we just enjoy it.
I think that when you are working together with your family, because that's what ministry together is, we're working together as a family. Ministry is a work for us too. You hear about families working together all the time. Like it's not the easiest thing to work with people that you know and have known forever. You bring with you history, and so if Priscilla disagrees with me and the way she disagrees with me or what she says hits a back nerve, like a 9-year-old back nerve, sometimes my response to her is out of our relationship, the history of our relationship. And I think it does take intentionality to give you the benefit of the doubt. Like if I feel some kind of way to say, like we're in this together, I think there is that intentionality. So when we disagree, hearing your opinion and not reacting in a way that brings history with me, it is work to make room for opinions that are different than my own when we both are invested, like we're invested in our parents, in our church, in ministry, and we both are very passionate. All 4 of us are very passionate about it. So when we disagree, I think it's work to make room for each other's opinions and to assume that we all care and really, really want the best. I have to constantly remind myself of that.
When we get together, do you think we do a good job of just doing family and not turning it into a ministry or business conversation?
No.
And who's usually the one that sits off to the side and reminds everybody to come back to family?
Mommy.
Outside of mom?
Priscilla?
Yes! I'm always the one going, guy, hello, come on back, let's just hang out. Let's just
We
enjoy.
cannot have dinner without coming up with some illustrations or talking about church business or the next program that's coming up or what we need from each other. Partially because we enjoy what we do.
We do.
So it's not like forced work. It's kind of like, oh, great, we get to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But I do think there is a level of intentionality to just having a good time. I mean, and Dad is he works hard.
And when he gets fixated on something that he's trying to accomplish right
Yeah.
then once he has us all together, he's like, well, let's talk about this.
He's like, this is a great opportunity for me to get input and direction and ideas. And so it's not like we do it and it's a hard thing, but I think
No.
we do have to be intentional about having family identity that's separate from discussions about the church and ministry.
Yeah, we do have to be very intentional. And it's hard to do that.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. I know our husbands, I'll speak for mine anyway. My husband will just kind of walk by and go like, here they go. But
I'll
he's
pull out my
supportive.
laptop sometimes and I'll be online shopping while they're still in a heated discussion about it. I'm like, I'm out. But we try to do the best we can. We have fun while we're doing it.
We do.
How do we keep family time from turning into work time? Jerry Shire, he's our barometer for that because that's how I feel when our brother-in-law Jerry Shire is around. He loves family time to just be that, and we didn't realize we had a habit of just starting to talk about the church, or especially like Daddy and Crystal and Jonathan will start talking about the church. I'll start talking about touring or an event. Priscilla's kind of in the middle, but Jerry will just look at us. And Daddy, recently you're like, okay, everybody stop. Jerry, this is not gonna work out for Jerry. Talking about ministry the whole day. So
Right. We have to work at not letting it drift in that direction, because it naturally will drift in that direction. Now, when everybody's together, the kids, the grandkids, the great-grandkids, it's a lot easier. When it's just the adults, it's a lot harder because everybody's involved in ministry.
Right.
And that consumes so much of our lives that you have to work at it. Now, the other side of it is our family gets together all the time.
constantly.
So we get together for portions, get together for breakfast every week. All of us get together for dinner once a month. Then we got 1 million birthdays, and people gather for birthdays and special events, and so we're together all the time. So it just depends on the context that will define whether it just zooms to ministry or whether it becomes more fluid with regard to non-ministry discussion.
Right. And the line is very blurred for this reason. It's because we have watched, well, for the four of us, we have watched ministry be you and Mommy's life. So when we're with you, it doesn't feel like we're talking about work. We feel like we're protecting our parents. We're protecting their legacy. It's like, it's not about work. It's about what's important to them. If anything was important to you, we would be about that and be excited about it. If it just happens to be ministry, which happens to be occupation. And so it's a blurry line.
It is very blurry.
Yeah.
Keeping family time from turning into work time actually is a difficult space because our family does ministry. Like we do ministry. And now in this new season, pandemics where cameras are everywhere,
Yeah.
and so you can just pop in front of a camera. It makes it even harder to keep that river, that water inside of the boundaries, you know, because then it can flow out pretty easily. And so you really have to, set really good boundaries.
Right.
I mean, you really have to say, we're spending time as a family. This is what we're going to do. I have to say no more often because cameras give you more speed at which you can do more ministry. Okay? So ministry didn't slow down with the pandemic. It just sped up in a different way. And so it's really thinking about those boundaries. I think it's Proverbs 11 that says an unjust boundary is an abomination to the Lord. Having bad boundaries is an abomination to the Lord. And so we wanted to just create that space in our house. And that's something that's a work in progress.
Yeah.
We're not that good at it. We're just trying to recognize, which I'm recognizing, I've been away from my kids too much this week. Yeah, I've been out a little bit too much. Everybody else gets a no. So that they don't keep getting it.
Yeah.
When I think about how I discovered my unique gifts in this ministry, I think Mom and Dad always required us in a very gentle and encouraging way to be involved with church.
Yep.
So we were able to develop our own identities in our church apart from their directive. So I was involved in youth group. I was involved in ministry, the music ministry. I was involved in women's ministry. So those are things that I was encouraged to do. Like I don't remember Daddy or Mommy ever telling me what I needed to do. It was just kind of like, where are you going to serve?
Yeah.
Where are you going to serve? So I think that what I've done as an adult is a continuation of what I've been doing since I was a teenager. Always been singing in the choir. I've always, and so that's what I think in terms
Yeah,
of that.
I would completely agree. I think that we were a part of church in a very active way growing up, and that was a part of our life. We were required to be just like any member at Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship Church. We've got to serve and edify the local body. But then Mom and Dad were also so good at calling out of us things that we didn't even know at the time may have
Very
been there.
good at that.
They were very good about
Very
seeing
good at
things that actually could have been problematic or were at the time. Like for me, I was always getting in trouble for talking in class. And so I would have to be disciplined for, not being respectful to the teacher or for getting the demerits because I wouldn't, not talk out of turn or whatever.
Demerits.
Yes. But I also remember those conversations being peppered with comments by Dad about the possibility that God had maybe gifted me with communication capacity. And if I would just yield it to the Holy Spirit, the Lord could do something with it in the future. So I'd be disciplined, but there was always this thought that even the stuff that might be getting you into trouble right now, look at what this could be and how God could use this for His glory. So I think they always encouraged us and helped to mine treasure that they saw in us that maybe we didn't recognize at the time.
Absolutely. They called out for sure what they saw in us, and it wasn't like in passing. It was very intentional because I can, as an adult, I see how their comments about my life kind of were like a tether. So when I was struggling to figure out my way, I knew that there was something they saw in me that I should try, at least try.
Yep.
The way I discovered my unique place in all this ministry and in life is because our dad discovers our abilities and he fosters them.
Hello.
He knew, if I didn't say it, he was going to answer it that way. The bottom line is, my dad and mom discovered that I had an ability to sing. That I thought everybody sang. Growing up here at church, we had to be in a ministry. I chose the youth choir, didn't think anything about it. The youth choir director used to point me out and say, Anthony, yeah, that's right, sing that again. Everybody listen to this and do that. And I was 6th, 7th grade. I didn't think it was a thing. It's embarrassing kind of. And then my parents heard it later, actually. I was just singing around, just playing around. And they heard it, and then my dad immediately started to foster it. At 18, he called a school. 17, he called a school, Liberty University, got me a scholarship. I was not interested. I was trying to go to Texas A&M. And he said, you got a full ride to Liberty, so the Lord says you're going to Liberty. And then that started this whole...
I know when the Lord is talking.
So that's how it started, with you and Mommy discovering it and then fostering it.
I remember one time I heard Kirk Franklin came to the house, and I wanted him to hear you sing. And he played on the piano, and you sang, and then he excused you out of the room.
Oh.
Yeah, and he said he has a special voice. So him saying that when he deals with all these singers was like a confirmation.
I never knew that.
See, that's like the rest of your life. Keep listening to me, and you'll learn new things.
Yeah.
I discovered my gifts kind of in a weird way because I wanted to make sure in my life, listen to me when I tell you, I wanted to make sure in my life I stayed as far away from preaching the Bible as humanly possible. If Tony Evans is your dad, preaching is not what you want to do. That's not an act you want to follow. And so I was always like, Lord, I'm not doing that. And you know what happens when you tell God you're not doing something. Because I was nothing like my father. My father is an academic. He reads a book a week, by practice. He's a PhD guy. So I saw all of that and was like, I barely even like school. That's not what I'm going to do. So I was pressing against it for a long time. But God kept giving little smidgets of opportunities. FCA in college, one of my teammates said, hey, can you lead chapel during training camp? And I was afraid to do it, but I said yes. And some of the people were saying, man, that's one of the best words I've ever heard. Like, I've never understood the Bible that way. And I started thinking, dun, 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 uh-oh, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, God is saying, here's your gifts. This is the way I want to use you, even though you have fear. And so it came about that way. God just taught it to me, and He showed it to me. And I just said that if this is what you want to do, just use me. I don't want to be a player that's on the bench. And so despite all of that, that's what I continue to do. How about you? What gifts in ministry have you been displaying? I know some.
Well, I think for me, I'm not a person that really likes to be out in front of people, but I have found that I'm able to support him in what he does. So
We do it together.
yeah, I try to help keep him organized and
I need it.
on track.
I need it.
And it's just good to be able to bounce ideas off of each other and things like that. So and right now my primary ministry is in the home with the kids. So I'm investing a lot of time doing that. But already I can see that it's been fruitful, and I know that we're
Huge.
planting seeds every day in our kids. And it may take a few years to be able to see the fruit fully blossom, but we can tell that we're at least taking steps in the right direction. So
Yeah, for sure.
I honestly feel really blessed to be able to
Yeah.
work with my family in ministry and
Yeah.
to enjoy the work, but to enjoy them and to see, especially as we get older, how much of a blessing it is to be connected in so many different ways with people that I love.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I just think that life is fragile and it's short. And so having the opportunity to spend the time that God gives us working together, playing together, enjoying each other, and knowing that there's the ripple effect that happens to be coming from that, that's a blessing to other people, it's just like, thank you, Lord. Thank you for the gift of each other and the opportunity to minister to others together.
Well, I'm excited just to have the opportunity to do life with this beautiful young woman right here. I can't tell you. I'm a words of affirmation guy, so I words of affirmation her to death, and I'm just so excited. And the experience that I had with my dad and my mom passing away, gave me a heightened reality of the goodness that I have. I have he who finds a good wife finds a good thing, a great thing, and is blessed by the Lord. And so I encourage you to be excited about your spouse. I mean, they may not meet all your expectations, but they met all God's expectations for you because He gave them to you. And so be excited about what God has given you and take advantage of that time because, like my dad said, it goes by really fast. And so I'm just excited about her. I'm excited about the opportunities that God has given us together, both in this family and our extended family. And we just take that excitement to continue to press forward and do whatever God calls us to do while having the balance that we need to take care of our family.
And I think it strengthens you as a couple when you set these goals in ministry and then you reach them. It's like being on a team.
That's right.
And you feel like you're accomplishing things together, and it brings you closer together as well. So
It's awesome.
What's been happening in ministry right now, I'm very excited about because although I wish Mommy was still here, yes, we still call her Mommy. We've called her that. We never stopped. Although I wish she was still here, my motivation in doing ministry, especially with us together, because one of her wishes was that the five of us would be together. So my motivation has heightened as it relates to the ministry that we're getting to do together. So that's what's become important to me.
I'm excited about this season. Certainly miss Lois and are not being a part of this part of the season, but knowing that her mark is still here in this phase of the season, and that her kids and me and the kids are still plowing forward together. They're involved in the church, as they're involved in the urban alternative, while being involved in their own ministry. So everybody is engaged with one another, and that's an exciting thing to see and be a part of.
Welcome back, and I hope that you enjoyed our family conversations, sharing some behind the scenes of how we work together in ministry and some of the nuances of what that looks like in our family. I'm joined by my dad, Dr. Tony Evans / pastor / daddy, and we wanted to certainly pose some questions to him, oh wise one, for all the things that people want to know. So first of all, I just want to know, how does it feel for you to have your family, because it's pretty much all of us now, even grandchildren too, serving in ministry with you?
Well, it's exciting. I mean, it's especially because it happened naturally. Nobody was pressed or forced or challenged to do that, but at the same time you were around it.
Yeah.
And because people, every person wanted to use their own strength to support what we were doing and to serve the Lord at the same time, makes it very fulfilling, because now I'm, I don't feel like people are doing something they've been, pressed to do, but what they choose to do and want to do and are gifted to do. So that's very satisfying.
I know we talked about it a little bit on the video from our perspective, but what did it look like from your perspective to keep us in and around it? What was that intentional? Was it just we're going to church, so y'all are going to church, or what was in your mind as you kept us involved without forcing us to do that vocationally?
Well, to make us a part of the life of the church, whatever that meant. So whatever we were asking our church members to do, we were asking our family members to do, which meant, go to worship, grow, and also serve. We had a little box on the table for giving. So we say at our church, grow, serve, and give.
Yeah.
So we wanted our children to grow, serve, and give. So since you were integrated into that environment, it became part of the environment and not a separate thing from the environment.
Did you ever feel like this is not going to turn out well? All the things that you did, keeping us around church, in between growing us up and us growing with you now, the in-between, I know the answer to the question because I was part of the problem. But
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted me to go there, but okay.
But what did that feel like for you? Because I know a lot of parents of young children or even adult children struggle with that feeling of we've tried to do things and it's not, so how did that feel for you, and what encouragement would you give to parents who are there right now?
Well, your mom wrote a book, Seasons, in a woman's life. And I think there's seasons in the children's lives.
Yeah.
Seasons of ups and downs, of clarity, of identity, of sin, righteousness. I mean, there are seasons. And you've got to love them through the season without condoning errant activity. So that is always knowing they're accepted. The Bible says that we are accepted in the beloved. One of the great things about the Christian faith is that we don't have to earn acceptance, okay? And your children should not have to earn your acceptance, but that does not mean accepting their actions. It means accepting their person, even if you have to correct their actions. So there were seasons and different levels of different kids where they were not all in or not flowing the way we would prefer them to flow, but there was never a question of acceptance. And so I think knowing that made it easy to kind of come home and to settle back in and to settle down from some of the teenage or college years.
Okay, moving on. How do you keep your family, and think about this in any season, when we were younger or now that we're older, from experiencing burnout with ministry? I'm sure you know that many pastors, their wives, and their kids experience burnout as a part of the requirement of ministry over the long term. So have you done anything, or do you have any counsel for men or women who are watching, who are thinking about that, wanting to serve together but not wanting to overdo it?
Well, that is a common problem of burnout, because ministry never ends.
Right.
And it is very demanding, because you're there to serve the people. And the people want to be served, especially if they're giving their tithes, okay? So you have this tension of being able to be a good servant without losing your own fire, okay? Because you're being burnt out. So one of the things is to create in your mind or even on paper a calendar where you have an appointment with your family. Whether that's the dinner table, now I know emergencies, but apart from emergencies, whether that's a date night a few times a month with your spouse, family time once a month with the whole family. Our family gets together once a month for the whole family dinner, and we got together every Sunday for breakfast. So whatever natural times can be blocked out times. And people don't have to know about all of that. All they have to know is that you are scheduled. You have an appointment. Like if you had a counseling appointment, it was blocked out. What we often fail to do in ministry is block out for our family what we do for other people in the church. And I think if we would take that same calendar mentality, then the family won't feel discarded, and we won't feel that we're having to choose between the two, and therefore get burnt out because you're trying to cover all bases.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How did you handle? Did you handle the PK label? Whatever expectations people in the church would put on your kids, or even now, how do you handle that, and how do you protect your family from the labels or expectations that other people would want to give?
Well, I think from the pulpit, there are certain things you can say that say, you know, I'm asking my family to do everything the church is doing, but I'm not asking them to do more, because I want them to love the church and love the ministry and love the Lord and not resent it. Most people can appreciate that. So using the sphere of influence to communicate that, and then if it's a legitimate issue, then you handle it legitimately, like you would handle any person who shouldn't be behaving that way. Now, in real world, in real life, there is a higher expectation of the pastor and the pastor's family. And I would handle that in private, not in public. I would not want them to publicly feel that expectation, but privately share that expectation.
Well, I remember you used to tell us all the time that your expectation for us was that we were Evans, and that the standards, for us not to confuse the standards that you had for us as standards because we were pastors' kids, but because these were the standards you would have for us anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you start with that and then attach it to the faith, or even if you flip it, you start with the faith, but taking the family name and plugging it into the faith, then they see it as one thing and not two different things.
Yeah, two different things. So good. Okay, when is it appropriate to take a sabbatical? Someone wants to know, how do I convince my husband that our family needs one?
Okay, I'm probably not the best person for that, because I've never taken a sabbatical. In 45 years of pastoring, I've never taken a sabbatical. What I have done is taken the month of August off. So
Yes.
that would be the closest thing to a sabbatical. And we would take off little times during the year, but that would be the big time for family time, for me and your mom's time, for reset time. So that was an annual thing
Yes.
that we adhered to pretty fervently.
Take off in the middle of the night, stop to get donuts,
All that. Yeah.
and then you would drive all night long.
I drive all night. I used to love to drive all night long. I like to drive, so used to love to drive all night long. So that was my sabbatical. But to the question,
Yes.
how do you get your husband to do that? You have to appeal to it as a need for you to be able to be more fervently supportive of him.
Like, give me an example of that.
In other words, you know, the wife is saying, I'm getting burnt out, and my energy and my enthusiasm for the church and for what you need me to do to support you in the church is waning.
Okay.
And I don't want it to wane. So I need us to have time away.
Okay.
Because now there's a quid pro quo, you know, this for that in the deal,
Yes.
that he can see and feel. And then ask for that, insist on the date night, and if something comes up, then he has to exchange it for another night.
Okay. Okay.
And just make it a reasonable amount of time based on the number of kids and schedules and all of that. So insist on that, and maybe in addition to an extended time vacation, you have these little staycations, I guess you call them, where you go away for 2 days and
Yep. To a hotel in town.
right, yeah. So
Not far.
so there are a variety of things you can do, but the wife and the women should insist on it.
Yeah.
But let him hear the benefit of it.
Good. Good stuff. Are struggling. Where do they turn for support? Where does a pastor's wife go if she wants to protect her husband, protect the ministry, but she needs help, a listening ear, some wise counsel?
Well, I would hope that there is that she can confide in, who she trusts. There's professional counseling available, okay? it becomes difficult when you do it in the church with a church member, because even if you trust them, you've created a jaundiced perspective in their eyes, if particularly if the complaint is about her husband. And they don't even have to be located with Zoom. I've become a Zoomologist doing COVID. With Zoom, that allows you to talk to people anywhere, anytime, and see their face, let them see your face. So that opens up the window of opportunity for communication of a trusted person.
That's good. Okay, so what should a wife or adult children do when their ideas or input are not appreciated or never implemented?
Well, I think that should be expressed at the appropriate time when you feel like. And at a time that, it's not cluttered with, excuse me, cluttered with other things. And then to be honest about it, and then to ask for a response to it.
Okay.
One, you want to be heard, but you want to, the Bible says, he that hath an ear, let him hear. So that doesn't just mean hear what I said, but hearken to what I'm saying. And how do you know that that's happening? Well, you call for a response. And what do you think about what I've said, and what can be done in light of what I've said?